When John and Mary's mother again went outside to find the money for food she was earning by begging, John opened the door, which the police knocked on and tricked the children into pretending to be their friends. After that, he and his sister, holding hands, crossed the threshold of the temporary orphanage for children. John and Mary always did everything together. Knowing the rules of the orphanage, they ran inside and hid each time during visiting hours so that none of them would be adopted. They hummed their favorite song as they hid to chase away their fear. So they lived in the orphanage for several months. But one sad day, it all came to an end. John was noted as brilliant, a talented child who played the piano. A young couple came to meet the young pianist. They instantly liked the boy and decided to adopt him. Mary screamed with all her might as she watched her brother being taken away by his new family. "Brother, please don't go. Don't leave me alone, I'm begging you." John walked over to his sister with a big hug and promised he would come back for her someday, but with money to buy her lots of toys and sweets. The girl was terrified of being left alone. She desperately shouted after her brother and cried, but John was strong and controlled himself. Every day he thought of his little sister and told her how much he missed her. So one day, the couple decided to go to the orphanage and take Mary home. But it was too late. Another family had already adopted her. John was distraught when he heard the news. He swore that he would find his sister someday. Time passed and John had grown up. He successfully graduated from university and received a degree in management, a profession that suited him perfectly. Having a good job, he earned good money, which he invested in various projects. But at the same time, he spent a lot to find his sister. But Mary's life turned out very differently. She was adopted by a low-income family who only needed a child to arouse more pity from people on the street and beg for money. The poor girl had to beg for bread from passers-by because her adoptive parents didn't take care of her and wouldn't feed her for days at a time. When she was 15 years old, she escaped as far as possible from the horrible place she had to live in. She thought she would be better off living outside than in that rat hole with her beast-like parents. But even on the street, Mary's life was not very easy. She sang to entertain passers-by and they threw her money for it. With that money, the girl bought herself food. One day, Mary met Robert, a man who lived on the street. He immediately fell in love with the girl and gradually managed to win her heart. They were together for a while, but it all ended when Mary told the man she was pregnant. He angrily chased her away, saying he had no money to support the child, even saying it was not his child. Mary's life became even more complicated than before. Nothing good had happened to her since she left the orphanage. The poor girl was inconsolable. She cried all day and didn't even want to eat because she thought she had no reason to live anymore. Mary wandered around the city alone. She didn't want to approach people. But suddenly, Mary remembered that she was no longer alone. She had a baby growing in her belly. With sudden strength, Mary went out into the street and began to sing her songs. With the money she received, she could buy herself food so that her baby could grow up healthy and strong. "God, where are you? Why aren't you helping me?" Mary asked every day. Time flew by quickly, and soon Mary had a son. The girl tried to stay in the hospital as long as possible because the only home she could give her baby was a small abandoned building on the outskirts of town. So some more time passed, Mary singing songs in the street with her baby in her arms. Seeing her with such an adorable baby, people became more charitable and gave more money. With that, Mary was able to buy a small microphone. She thought that would help her get more people's attention. One day, Mary noticed that people no longer really paid attention to her and looked indifferently at her and her baby. What would happen to her and the baby now? Mary was in tears. She didn't know how to live. Mary closed her eyes, raised her head to the sky and asked, "God, why have you abandoned me? My life has been horrible since I was born. Please help me. I know you're out there somewhere." Mary continued to stand with her eyes closed. Remembering her childhood, she began humming the song she and her brother had sung 20 years earlier. She noticed a luxury car pulled up next to her. A young man got out and headed toward the girl. "What does he want from me?" Mary thought, cradling her child in her arms. The man approached her and, not recognizing his sister, asked, "Where did you hear that song?" Mary didn't want to say anything or communicate with a stranger. She feared her baby might be taken from her. Suddenly, the man dropped to his knees in front of her and said, "My name is John. I've been looking for my lost sister for years and I can't find her. We co-wrote this song with her, so I need to know how you know it." "John, is that you? I thought you forgot me long ago with your new rich family. I didn't know you were looking for me," said the girl. "I've been looking for you everywhere since I became independent, but I couldn't find you. Sis, please get in the car, let's get out of here. I built a big palace for you." During the ride in the car, John held Mary's hand. The girl told her brother everything she had been through, and John cried, tears of happiness, realizing he had finally fulfilled his vow. John had shown Mary what life could be, that there were always ups after downs. The girl would never have to beg for alms again, her child would get the best education, and Mary herself would live happily ever after, surrounded by her brother's love. Mary is now a famous singer and founder of a charitable foundation that cares for homeless children across the country. Life has shown her that there is always a reason to fight and that God always hears our prayers. If you like this story, share your opinion in the comments. Don't forget to like it and subscribe. See you in the next video.